looks like history doesn't repeat itself. At the end, it is Light Side taking down Venom Crest. The snake is the one to get bitten. And it's not only the snake, it's your points as well, gentlemen. As we jump into the...
Happens.
Yeah, I can also do it, veteran. It's not only you.
Happens. It happens. It's all good. All right. There will be a comeback at some point. All right, and it will be glorious. It will be glorious when I make up the difference, especially in the current system where you can just lose 15 points overnight.
Yeah, yeah.
One day, yeah.
Look, all I'm saying is I'm not at 0 points. I had my perfect day yesterday. It could be worse.
You know, before we jump into the analysis, let's start talking with Bucci from Lightside, and then we start talking about Lightside. This will be an interesting take. So, welcome to the show. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you.
That was a good one. How's you feeling?
Well, to start off, everybody, like, please stop betting against us. Like, we're stealing so many points already. Like, I'm done stealing your points. Just listen to me next time, you know?
Tell me something. The composition was really interesting. Was it preemptive? Like, did you pre-plan it, or was it adaptive to what was happening in the Champion Select?
Bro, it was, I don't know, like, I don't know. I don't even know, bro. I have no clue. It just happened what happened, you know?
It just
Like,
happened.
I was
and
not
in
expecting
the
to play
end,
Rumble today. That's all I have to say.
That's an interesting take. That's an interesting take. But out of the sudden, you have to adapt to the team, and it seemed like it worked. And the synergy was also there. It seemed every time they went for something, you guys were together and you were aware of what you needed to do as a team. So you think communication and play style is now fusing for Lightside?
Yep. We're gonna beat everybody. Don't worry about it.
Everybody.
I mean, yeah, everybody. Like, you think Lionscud are gonna escape us? We're beating them as well. I mean, Verdant is like revenge time, you know?
Okay. Verdant is revenge time. Let me see, because you're playing next week. You're playing Natives. Okay, you're playing Natives and Lions Creed.
Easy week. 2-0.
My gosh, Butch, you're like, come on, man. Man, I love it. I just love it. Tell me something.
Way.
Moving on, is there any laner that you really want to face?
Doxy got me last time, so I need to play against him again. And then Nille as well. I mean, I think I played good against him in early laning phase, but then I kind of messed up, you know? So, yeah, revenge time, baby.
It seems like you're adapting to what the team is bringing. You just said, like, I was not planning on playing Rumble. So if you had to pick, let's not name champions, because that is going to be free information for them. We don't want to make it easy. Like, you know you're going to win. So what is your preferred play style? I want to get to know you as a player. What can I expect from you if you get to decide the champion you bring?
I'm playing something that beats enemy top in lane. I mean, like, I love winning lane. Winning lane is the favorite part of the game, you know?
Isn't it like as a top laner when you smash the other guy? Because it's 1v1. There's no one coming in. It's like, nah, I got you.
By the way, I need to mention a fun fact about this game. You know this game? I misskilled my ult twice, so I didn't get ult before level 8. Yeah, you heard me right.
Nah.
I did it.
Nah.
Yeah, I did it. And I couldn't ult wave. So we're a bit sad about that one, but, you know, they didn't notice. They might be confused here. They're like, oh, he should have ulted
yeah, we
wave,
just
like,
got that information. We just got that information. Guys, we have to wait Bucci 8 before grubs for your information.
Yeah. No level 8, like, you know, like the classic level 8 ulti, you know? I mean, to be honest,
It's
I didn't
too
really
easy,
need
right?
ult lane. You know, I'm winning lane anyways.
Yeah. Why would you? Come on, man. It's like playing Twisted Fate on a RAM. You don't use ulti. You don't use ulti.
Exactly, yeah.
You don't need that. Yeah. Confidence.
Yes, you win
Bucci,
anyways.
Confidence. So for your fans from Lightside and for your fans as well, because you're building up a community, what do you have to say?
I mean, just keep sharing. Also, like, if you keep watching, I promise you, I'll steal more Pentas. Like, I'll steal more Pentas, guys. I don't know. I think I stole a Penta at the end.
You did at the end. The last play you stole, you killed Pike, by the way. And you didn't
I mean,
even
he did call it, but I kind of just, like, zoned out. And I kind of needed a kill, you know. I can't go 1-0-9. Like, what do you think I am? 0 kills, bro.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. It was a lovely interview. Best of luck for next week. It's going to be an easy one, I know, but best of luck anyway.
Thank you.
You know, veteran, I've always said, Rumble really doesn't need ult. He's not ult reliant in the slightest. Never had
Rumble?
periods in his history where
thought he
level
got the
6
Jace. Bro thought he got the Jace, man. Bro thought, oh, you're swapping Jace to me? Perfect, let's
Yeah,
roll.
perfect.
Oh, I thought,
Nope.
yeah, let's go.
Oh no! What am I doing?
I'm playing you, dear. I'm not using Phoenix. I don't care. Oh my
Oh,
lord! With Rumble, that is a flex.
Super did that in the finals of EU Masters. Is this a preview of the final standing of Lightside? He did that on
That's
Zone.
a very deep cut. That is a very deep cut.
That was a good one. That was a good one. And talking about cuts, they wanted to go into the enemy jungle, but they got, the hunter become the hunted. Am I right?
Yeah, there was a little bit of this earlier. We saw Venom Crest invade that blue buff level 1, try to make those initial snowballs happen, and it kind of goes wrong. Mainly in the fact that Graves gets the camp, and then they try to make some plays around bot lane, which Dr. Chaos and Senna kind of just go no you and blow up the pike at level 1 and get both summoners. And those initial early coordinated plays with support, jungle, plus whoever's around on the map at the time that we praise Venom Crest for being so good at were really, really well stymied by Lightside this time around. And the moment it starts going wrong, it goes wrong real hard because every pick they try to make, it gets paid back double. Nothing comes for free this game if you're a Venom Crest player.
You can say it was painful, so that's why we're going to toss it to the interview because he's waiting for us. Painful.
God, man.
Hello, mate.
Hello.
Obviously, this was a rough one because we were talking about it. You had the plan, you had everything aligned, but it just didn't work. Where do you believe it went south?
So if you're looking at our comp, we don't really have a frontline for Nautilus, so we can't really play around the fact that we want to dish out all our damage. I don't know. We have to win early, and we don't win early. It's pretty simple. It's not a lot more than that.
It's not rocket science. It's we failed our winning condition, go next. But can you talk to me about the Kai'Sa? Was it a planned pick, or was it on the spur of the moment we're gonna pick Kai'Sa? Oh boy.
I usually don't listen. I'm so I have no idea. I don't know. I can't answer that.
I love the honesty of our teams. I just love it. I just love it. So moving on to next week, what can we expect from you, Venom Crest? Let me see. You're playing versus DMG and you're playing versus natives.
I don't know. I'm so lost in head. I'm so tired. I have no idea. Maybe
You know what? I'll let you rest. And we talk next week. What do you feel about that one? That's a good one.
Next week. What did you say? DMG and
natives. If you want, you can go rest, man. Go rest. We talk next week. It's a deal. Okay, Painful? I want an interview with you next week, okay?
Yes, the natives one. I'll take the natives one.
Okay, you take the natives one. I'll meet you there. Have a nice one. Take a rest.
Same.
Sometimes you have to sit by the bonfire and just press rest. It's all you
Yes,
have
it's
to say.
it's time, yeah.
It's time. I'm too tired.
They were the great enemy that was felt this time. Maybe we're just getting
Yeah.
Dark Souls from the side of the monsters, No one ever really thinks about what happens to them.
Oh,
But
Senna was
natives
on the other
versus
team, though,
Nord.
so.
Now this is a match I've been looking for all day, to be honest.
Yes.
And I'll start by highlighting a gentleman who got the MVP for the first one. It was Romeo. Romeo was the one sticking out as the MVP on the first day. And this guy's a beast.
Yep, extreme levels of aggression coming out from this player. He was very much in charge, in the lead, all throughout a technically far more experienced team on the side of natives. I hope we keep seeing that from him because having a rookie AD carry in the league take charge that way, that's a very exciting thing to see. It's a role that lends itself to that kind of map leader presence. So I hope Romeo keeps developing in that form, and I hope we see a similar performance today.
And that's all he has to say. Initialize doesn't even want to talk about it.
No,
it's a tough
well,
match.
just it's interesting as well because it's a guy, as we've said, who is coming in with an odd sense of expectation. The fact that he's come in and then played really well, and then he's this rookie who's kind of got the superstar genes to him, at least on some front. He's got a particular subset of champions that he's performing very, very well on, namely things in the vein of the Nautilus, which has been doing not vein, the Nautilus. He's not playing it. But and Veteran doesn't
was
enjoy
gonna
that
make
pun.
the
We're moving on. But like, there is something to be said for the fact actually like that first blood percentage says a lot about the way that they are playing the game, which is actually those first few levels, those first kind of few looks on the map are often involving or led by a guy like Romeo, and it means that our eyes are inevitably drawn to him because he's often where the action is kicking off, particularly in that early game. I think sometimes in the mid game when the game goes wrong, he gets a little bit lost. But that's honestly, it's a rookie thing. That'll come with some experience, and it's harder to play the map when you're losing it. So that'll be my eyes as well. Like, can he develop a little bit towards the mid game?
So on this one, what is the lane to
don't know,
watch?
right?
I haven't asked yet today. I want to know what is the lane to watch because I think this is a massive match.
Ooh, I mean, typically with these games, it's basically mid-jungle because you're always the guys that are against
Yeah.
Shaky Selfie. Selfie is one of the best mids in the league right now, and if you are able to best their 2v2 mid-jungle, they do somewhat lose their sense of control of the map, particularly if you're able to knock JK out of the game. If Nord in particular are able to knock JK out of the game, Romeo is going to become their primary carry because they will have that leadership figure in play and natives won't. Natives don't typically win hard through bot. They don't typically shut down the enemy bot as a big priority unless JK has full free reign of the map. So shut that down, and that's the matchup that I want to see most from.
I think it's also quite telling that the two mid laners are the two highest damage percentage members in the league, like period. Whatever role, whatever player they are, like just over 30% each. They're 1 and 2 in terms of the DPM numbers as well. Rusty Sniper is in third behind them. These players have been so core to their team's success. Nulu and Warzy have both been those guys who've been asked to do mad damage numbers. Yes, they've been on champions like Corki and Victor, and the games have gone late. Inevitably, you do more damage with that. But even so, they have been delivering, and it means our eyes turned there, with additional members likely impacting, of course, because they have been so core to the team working out and winning these games.
We're having a small delay on one of the teams, but as soon as we can, we'll jump into Champion Select to resume with this last match of the day of the second half of the split on the Northern League of Legends Championship. Moving on, I would like to highlight not only that, like the jungle mid lane, but we're looking into Smurfy and Nile, and we're talking about two top laners that have been given multiple MVPs. And for the last game, for instance, Smurfy coming in with the Aatrox, he was like one of the winning conditions. And I agree with you, gentlemen. I believe Roshan, Yeski, Nulo, and Warzy, like they're the ones to watch, but on every single lane I look on this matchup, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, but this is interesting. This is interesting. And then you get to a point like, what's a champion select gonna look like? Because every one of these players can be a carry. So they have to give priority to all of them. What do you guys believe will happen in this champion select? Because I have veteran here, and I know you love to do those things. So guide me. Explain.
I mean,
Show
I have
me
Nilla on the team. I know how I want to set him up best, right? You are right.
Yeah.
He's see a lot of MVPs because he is given that kind of presence on the map by having these big split pushers and having his team play around it. The kind of Nilla we wanted to see in the old Verdant lineup that he was on, right? So typically, I'd want to focus my draft around that. You can do that while maintaining priorities in other lanes, while giving other players times to shine. It's not like you have to shut them all down to do so. And honestly, if Romeo's priority on bot lane, that allows him to go on the map and back up Nilla some more. So I don't think you're necessarily choosing one or the other here. A guy who wants to be pushing up perma as Nilla does on champions like Jax, who wants to be able to trade permanently as he does on his main carries, that guy wants his other lanes to be winning. He doesn't want to be worried about enemy mid, enemy support, enemy jungle. AD carry doesn't matter for him. He wants to know that all of those guys are under their tower, terrified of his great teammates. I don't think you have to make the choice there, Archrom. I say give them all what they want. Lions Creed it out, you know, because we did see Lions Creed do that earlier today, right?
Yeah.
And that could be their route to win.
I love
Exactly.
it. So,
I mean-
back at home, before you start, but keep that in mind, initialize. I want to hear that after this one. You guys at home can participate as well by joining the weekly community prediction contest. So, head on to Twitter and you have the possibility to win one Steel Series Aerox 5 wireless mouse every single week. Even Middlecott got one, so what's stopping you from having one? Look at this beauty. All you have to do is head on to Twitter, put your predictions for each week, and you have the best predictions at the end of the week. You receive receive this beautiful mouse. Look at this. Look at the colors on the behind of the mouse. Remember when Middlecott had those colors on the window? He doesn't need anymore because he has this one right now. It's a beautiful mouse. It could be yours. All you need to do is get the predictions right. Middlecott didn't, and somehow he got a mouse. So we're just giving them away.
You know, Bjergsen used a wireless mouse, and he won a major region over and over and over again. You could win a major region too if you grab a wireless mouse today.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's the real skill set here. We have just headed into picks and bans here as well. But
Wow.
I think we've all been in a very interesting position when we've come to the predictions here as well. We've all basically put 1 point on either side. No one wants to touch this one because they're both teams of 4 and 3. Both teams have shown some really good stuff and some slightly more negative stuff. And I do want to touch on Nille briefly before we go as well, because for all he's done a lot of carrying over the last couple of years, he's kind of also had a couple off games, I think, recently. My eyes turned to his kind of drubbing by Lenny in recent weeks as well, where he kind of got baited into getting Cassante ulted under tower multiple times. So if there is a world here where Smurfy could kind of repeat something like that, if Nille is perhaps being a little arrogant in the laning phase, there is a potential angle there, and whether Nille will be able to stabilize what's been slightly off kilter for him of recently.
Only one of Native's win has seen Nulu not on Azir, and that champion was Victor. I remember this guy being a huge fan of Dunn, the Victor one trick from North America. So these are the two champions that are his bread and butter here. You can probably assume we'll go back into those. Jakey, very, very effective on the Maokai. We actually gave him an MVP on that before, so that acts as a takeaway, as well as giving you one of the best champions. But crucially, what were we saying Natives are vulnerable into? These long-range poke comps that don't care about the kind of more mid-range compositions that Natives typically like to do, but they're not being baited into an Aphelios here. It is going to be a Varus that can perform that same function, but Maokai is a really good base to go Maokai Jace, Maokai Corki to set up these kinds of big long-range compositions. Ezreal, another one of those kinds of champions. These are the things Natives typically struggle with. That being said, it is blue side for Nord. These comps aren't as powerful as on red.
Baron Pit shenanigans definitely help when you can keep a wall between you and the people you're hitting. A little harder this time around unless dragons become a bigger factor, and even then, not quite so easy. Veteran has the right of it there. You've already kind of seen a couple hovers around as well. There is a world where the Maokai goes support, but I don't think anybody will be surprised here about the Corki mid. Warzi has put a lot of time into it. He's doing massive amounts of damage. You now hit mid game. You have Maokai basically doing zone denial. You have Ezreal and Corki throwing out Qs and Rs. And there he comes in. There's that Victor that basically the Azir's off the table. Victor comes on in. Nulu had that the last time and did unspeakable amounts of damage with it. Victor Corki. It's Season 6 all over again, guys.
Yep, Victor, Corki, Ezreal with the Maokai. The compositions are basically coming out as was expected. Yeah, so let's just see, though, where Natives go from here. They actually do have a fairly decent range, but Corki is the absolute king of that. My question, are we going to see any of the actual counters to Corki? Doing it in lane isn't really the thing you want to go for. You're thinking of champions like Sona, for example, and I am seeing the Nautilus ban. I am looking at some big engage supports that Sonas typically don't really want to go into. The Rel could end up in the jungle, and we could see something pretty special, because these are the big counters to a poke composition, and they do work well with the mobility of Victor and of Varus.
Yeah, and I think especially because you've already locked in the Victor, which again makes sense considering it's Nulu who's very confident on that champion. You're not looking for some of those more aggressive lane counters, like the Akali we've seen work, particularly over in like the LPL into the Corki, where Corki regularly gets taken out of those mid and late game fights because the Akali often has free reign into that. That's not going to be the option. So something like that Sona or some kind of enchanter to make the poke less valuable, I think is pretty wise here.
Yep, but there is one route to Akali here, and that is a route where you wait until last pick with your top, and Nille goes for the Jax, right? And then you could actually find an Akali that then ends up matching on side later. A Vi has been locked in, so support rel is confirmed, and you do have the counter pick top option in towards Nille. So there is a potential bait here to get the kind of thing that you're talking about.
Vi is really good into things like Ezreal and Corki because you just can't dash far enough away. Assuming Vi has follow-up, because when we see Vi's not work, it's because Vi alone goes in and no one can follow her when she's been taking a flash Arcane Shift away, a flash Valkyrie away, and suddenly everyone is way out of range. Fortunately, you do have a Rel who's pretty good at following up. Varus, Victor have also got fairly long-range abilities to be able to jump on people as well. So your follow-up should be there. on paper, assuming you're coordinated, looking at potentially a Jace. We saw Doxy try that earlier too. Good success early, but they're going through a few options. We'll wait and see. I think Nars a little bit more flexible in terms of the way you play the game. You're right. So good, leave open a Yasuo option, and you've already got Rel and even Vi, so you've got some combos here to potentially knock people up. Exactly.
Or you just go.
Do they just chase themselves?
Yep.
I mean, that's another way of doing it.
Jace looked like a really nice pick, though, to be honest, on the side of Nord, right? If they go into the Jace there with the Maokai, it is a disturbing combination. You're able to wedge yourself in, isolate, and there's no real setup that can defend yourself against both. So
you will get hit by the shot mass,
for sure. I would have liked to see the Jace. Do understand not going it there. They could have just slammed the Malphite, and suddenly life gets a lot harder. But you know what? It is what it is. They've gone Gnar, the safe pick for Nille. He can still split push on this champ, right? It does have engaged potential, but Nille can grab Trinity, go on side, and try to match either of these two lanes on repeat. So that option's still out for him to do his preferred play. So you still have all of the poke with the Corki and the Ezreal, and the attempts to outrange. But I do think Laters are more comfortable with the Varus and the Victor than they would be with, say, the Azir Affiliate setup that we saw in yesterday's game.
I'll leave us with a quick thought here as well. Smurf has taken the gauntlet thrown down. He has picked the carry option to the top. They're going to likely have people pressuring towards the bot side, which will leave them in an isolated 1v1. That's kind of the way you see a lot of these carry top matches work these days. Nille's not had the cleanest last couple weeks. He's in a bit of an interesting matchup here where it could get a bit skill-based. My eyes are actually going to be up there, because if Nille messes up again, I have some questions to start asking.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And we're looking at the match that it may decide the first place yet again. It's a constant battle, but it's a constant toss to the casters. But before we do so, we have a surprise, which I have no idea what it is.
That is a disgusting mouse.
My
10 kilograms of dirt. Absolutely right.
Rented!
Wait, but how?
It's
How?
rented!
Mouse
It's rented!
is
Steel
rented.
Series mouse!
He didn't get a mouse! It's rented!
How? Wait.
It's an advertising thing!
Wait, but
I
this
knew
guy
it.
was playing League with a 10 kilometers mouse, gliding it along. Like, how stacked is he under there? That's mental, no?
He's like Tryndamere. His right hand is just way stronger
Yeah.
from all the repetitions putting it on the mouse. That's all it is.
Lovely way to put it and toss it to the casters as soon as we jump into the game. Northern Natives
Jesus.
take it away. Rude in the rented cot.
Oh, look. Yeah.
Yes, that's what a 10 kg mouse gets you.
I'm stacked, bro. I don't know what to tell you. And talking about stacked, these rosters. Rude, dude. Right? I think Archer hit it absolutely perfect on the desk. Every lane I want to talk about because the players here, they really are top tier.
They are, and honestly, we were looking top to bottom. I feel like there's weirdly a lot of parallels between all of the players that are in those positions. Roshan and Yaki have been sometimes facilitators for their teams, sometimes, not facilitators for their teams, for lack of a better term. Mid and top lane, I think, are very similar in their terms of their playstyles. I actually think this may be a bold take for the most of this, and we're going to leave you with this. But this is the battle of the top two mids in the league.
Welcome on to Summoner's Rift for our fourth and final game of the day. And before we both left you around about 15 seconds ago, Rudy, you made a bit of a bold statement. Vashi and Nulu, top two mids in the league.
Absolutely, and I will stand by that from this first round of round robin. I actually am more than happy with that as an assertion. I think that Nulu has stepped into the NLC and pretty much picked up where I would have expected him. Obviously, having a long-standing career previous to the NLC, time in EU LCS, he's more than capable at performing at the high levels, and he's done exactly that, where Varshi, on the flip side, a bit of an unknown quantity for me specifically, and has done almost the same as Nulu, but with way less expectation from my end.
And now we get to see them on Corki Victor.
Woo! Could have only been better if Nulu would have picked Azir. Unfortunately, it's banned because his Azir has been too good this series. Oh, sorry. this split?
This split, not just today, but throughout the entirety of the NLC. But there are a lot of pieces to these rosters, and I do want to take a little bit of a look at the bot lane, because if we're talking about Vashi and Nulu being super consistent, high damage output, top 2 in their role, you might ask some people, I think Rusty, Sniper, and Merbs, they've been a bit more flip-floppy.
A lot more flip-floppy, I'd say. They have been wildly inconsistent, honestly. Rusty Sniper has been, at times, one of our top AD carries, you know, walking underneath tier 2 turrets on a Jhin to snipe people down. Alternatively, we've seen him forget that his D key exists and just not flash anything.
That's because F's for flash, mate.
Right, okay. Forget what his flash key does. Sorry, guys. I tried to make it fun, and then Middlecourt decided against.
No, that's fine. But you are speaking the truth, right? And I think for both these players, what we want to see from them this play is that consistency. Are these high level performances back to back to back? We don't want you to see you 0-6 all the time. We want those 6-0s. And then in the top lane, I do like that we are seeing Nile and Smurfette on slightly more aggressive champions, because I think that a few times this split they have ended up sort of being defaulted to tank duty, whereas Nara and Jace are both champions that can get stuff done.
Absolutely can, and specifically in a split push situation as well. You could very easily look to these champions to set things up. I think that the Gnar in a side lane is a little bit more potent than the Jace, but by and large, we're just going to see the two teams 5v5. That feels like the avenue that these compositions have lent themselves to. I do want to highlight how well this mid lane matchup is going for Nulu specifically. There wasn't really any jungle intervention, but the difference between Aerie and First Strike has been proving to be quite substantial. Nulu, what you'll see on Victor specifically versus a First Strike Corki is you'll just use the laser from laning phase to break First Strike, means that Varshi's tools to trade back with are a lot weaker because he doesn't have a keystone, and then you can start to trade with the Q from the siphon of Victor, and then you obviously have that little shield to trade it heavily with.
And I mean, Aerie is just like absolutely disgusting as a poke-based keystone. I feel like it's sort of just supplanted what Arcane Comet is meant to be in a lot of situations, because it is just so much easier to proc.
Yeah, exactly, and it's consistent as well. You can just dodge Comet, weirdly enough, if you keep walking and there's no slows or anything. You can just walk. Vargi exhibiting that one right there. Maybe had to pop a Valkyrie on, but his wave is toasted right now, and he's going to need a little bit of help from his jungler to make that happen, especially since they've just seen Yaki cross through mid lane. They know the Vi's around. This Corki stepping up is always dangerous.
Yeah, and there was a decent move actually coming out from Shawami Katami a little bit earlier to just force Roshan off of his red buff, which did give Yaki the freedom to take away those double scuttles. Not as punishing for the enemy jungler as that has been in seasons past, but if it's advantage you can get, you're absolutely going to take it.
Yeah, of course, right? If I can get 2 crabs, why won't I? Romeo is underneath this mid-tier 1 turret. Now, Nulu has flash.
Is he going to have to burn it? He's going to drop the gravity field on himself, and I think wise from Nor that they back away from that situation. Don't want to over-aggress onto the Victor, especially when he's still doing relatively fine in terms of the HP.
The weirdly, the play-by-play in you just completely gone for that. Would have loved to have seen them have to force Victor's flash.
No, because this is what you need to appreciate. I predicted that Nord wouldn't win a game in under 30 minutes, so I am a believer in Nord time, and Natives are believers in getting it going a little bit earlier. Roshan ticking down, the laser follows through, secures first blood for Nulu and Vashi. That's a get out of there.
And in case this mid matchup wasn't hard enough, Nulu just got given a red buff as well. Any auto attacks, any of these empowered Q autos that are coming through, they're going to sting just that little bit more. Now, any fight that you take around a Victor is always going to benefit the Victor if it's even, because he gets his stacks faster. He can upgrade his Hex Core a little bit sooner and be a little bit more obnoxious with his wave clear. Now that they've found a kill and it was a solely winning play for Natives, it's a huge advantage.
But you've got to remember that mid diff is really jungle diff, which is really support diff. Romeo wasn't able to make that roam work for himself in the mid lane. Shawami Katami comes over, kills the enemy jungler, gets the kill, and that helps secure grubs for Natives.
Exactly. Now, the funny thing that we're seeing right now is, off of those early roams, both of our AD carries obviously going to pick up the tier. Rusty also thought, yeah, it's call time. There's nothing happening down in this bot lane. We're playing Varus versus Ezreal. Let's go. We'll go full scaling, wait for our mini items to be finished off, and this now for me, means that Natives' power around any dragon objective, any dragon fight that happens, is going to be a little bit weaker, but they're obviously going to be leaning quite heavily on Nulu to get that going.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a bad place to lean, right? There's a reason that we've been talking about him so highly throughout the splits, just because he gets it done. Merso still trading decently in the bottom side. Overall, though, I do feel like Nord, if they do end up situations where they are going backwards, there is a fair bit of tools for them. They've got the Maokai, they've got the Alistair, and when Yaki, when Swami Katami are going in, they can be disengaged.
Nice knock up.
Yeah, just like that.
The Alistair power. Very good. And obviously, there is a little bit of jungle intervention. Yaki and Roshan sort of jostling for almost this game of jungle chicken. Who's going to show first? Ooh, is your jungler here? Is your jungler not here? Yeah, of course they're both here, guys. Please help.
Yeah, but they are still going to be able to get rotation here for natives over onto this dragon. And I feel like the enemy team is able to double dip on these early objectives. It is generally a bad sign for you. We usually see those traded over. Nord not in a position to do that, so it's early grubs going down and the first dragon for natives.
I mean, that's a really solid objective setup to begin with. Really not a big deal for the most part when it's a Cloud Drake, but Varshi underneath this turret, definitely struggling. He's getting zoned away by 3 people.
Yeah, Shami Katami has been spotted there, but he doesn't actually get interrupted there by Roshan.
A classic, a special almost. And now with all of the actions sort of pivoting toward that bot side, I do want to take a little bit of time to highlight what is happening in the top lane, because otherwise nobody else will, and they are top laners, they have feelings as well. Really good performance from Smurfist so far.
Yeah, it's not usual to see Nile fall down to such an extent in the lane. If it was to happen, I'd usually anticipate that there had been a little bit of jungle attention there to force him off a wave and force him back from his tower, but this is just Smurfy kind of smurfing, honestly.
Whoa! Has anyone made that joke before?
I hope not.
I hope not. Wow.
I mean, it's a difficult one to grasp there.
Yeah,
so
it's a deep cut. So well done in chat if you figured that one out.
I've always thought that the NLC had the most intelligent viewers out of any of the ERLs. So
That's crazy you'd say that.
I do like to go for a little bit of a higher brow style of humour.
No, that's completely understandable. You know, we'll have to see if they manage to make it up to the high levels of smurfing and understand why that was funny. However, with all of the smurfing that Smurfy has been doing through this early game, he actually managed to go back to base, working towards what looks to be another Eclipse early on, which is going to help him quite significantly when going for those early trades. The extra shield from Eclipse is kind of still disgusting, was disgusting in Season 13, and is now even more so, honestly, because it doesn't have any lifesteal on it anymore, but it's still very, very strong as an item.
Yeah, and if we look at the other solo lane, Varshi versus Nulu, it's decidedly Lunu favoured right now. Yes, he's been helped out significantly by that early kill, but started to build up a bit of a CS advantage, and that means that Native's actually pretty far ahead without being that far ahead. Roshan with a little bit of an odd angle there with the knockback onto Smurf. It means he can just get out of there.
You can say it, middle cop. He messed up. He landed the twisted advance and then messed up his Q, which in turn led him to miss up his ult. It's one of those where you're thinking a couple of steps ahead, you've got the combo down, but if you mess up part 1 of the combo, part 3 just looks wildly inaccurate.
And that's a big tool, right? The Maokai ultimate. That's going to be so important for Nord if they want to force people off of objectives.
Yeah, and like these Void Grubs, right? They just spawned. Yaki took the first 3. Second 3 have already spawned. You've got no Maokai ult to try and contest these. Mid has been underneath their turret for the duration of the laning phase, and there's just no way for you to try and contest. So this is going to be 6 grubs going to natives, quite handily, and with the way this Victor has been piling damage down underneath the turret, you're going to be able to take that first turret, quote-unquote, solo.
Yeah, so at this point, I'm kind of going, okay, where can Nord punch back? Because we know this team likes to scale into the later stages of the game, but natives are fine at that point too, and if they're going into that part of the game with a gold lead, then I don't think it takes a genius to work out who's going to win.
No, and I think that the way that they then start to try and punch back is by using this Alistair. Rusty Sniper forces... well, Romeo has no ulti, so just forces the Alistair to tank a minion wave for a couple seconds.
That's pretty scary. But drops the ult, clears out the minion wave, and Nord basically just can't go for the dive.
No, absolutely not. And I think it's the right idea for Nord. Their way to start generating some sort of advantage in this game is by using Alistair and Maokai aggressively instead of defensively. Typically, in any game of League of Legends, if you're playing reactionary to what the enemy team are putting down, you feel like you're on the back foot and don't feel like you can step forward into making plays. I think that Nord have to make that or break that pattern and start trying to find fights on their own terms.
They are in a rough spot because I would class their composition as a little bit more defensive necessarily than what Natures can do. The Vi and the Rail, they're all about going forward. Maokai and Alistair, yes, they can do that, but I think they're a bit more adept at playing a defensive role, letting the enemy team come into you.
They absolutely are, but they're going to have to use those aggressive properties of those champions to try and find a way back into this game. Both of those things can be correct. You can be a good defensive champion and have offensive tools that you need to harness.
Shan wandering into the mid lane. Looks like he's just going to try and secure Varshi a back who been having an even worse time in this mid lane. That CS starting to expand in terms of the difference.
I think the issue was that he was actually only trying to force Varshi a crash, but the way that he just took all of his half his HP from a laser starts to lead you down. Well, maybe I actually need to go all the way back to base for it. Now Romeo is, unbeknownst to him, maybe in a bit of trouble.
He's going to be able to pop that aftershock, drop the ultimate as well, but he doesn't have any help in close proximity. Yep, has to burn that summoner spell to get on out.
I'm a little bit sad, honestly. I would have liked to see Romeo just burn the flash early doors to get out to safety, right? Even where you are in the red jungle there, the walk to safety is so far. Your ulti isn't going to save you unless you've got team members coming. You know you're going to have to burn flash anyway, so just burn the flash, save your ult for a potential fight that you're going to have later on, because you've got a dragon spawn now, you've got no Alistair ulti, and this is the second time that we've seen these team fight ultimates not available.
Oh no.
Careful, middle court!
Ah! Ah!
The grasping roots, they're here!
Yeah, another not great ultimate there.
Another miss.
Yeah, from Roshan as Nators, honestly, it just feels like a little bit of an execution diff throughout this early game. You don't really tend to see gold leads of this magnitude with so few kills going down, and Nators, they recognize that and try and add to the kill count. They are going to be successful.
No
Merbs dropping off the face of Summoner's Rift and is going to get followed by his support. Nelly is TP'd down to try and help out his boys in this fight, but it's just going to feed a third kill over to Rusty Sniper. Natives well and truly getting the snowball rolling.
This doesn't feel like two teams who have the same scoreline are playing up against one another. Natives are absolutely dumpstering Nord through this early game. They're using the Rel, they're using the Vi to great effect. And the sort of saving grace for Nord through this early game had been Nulu wasn't roaming. The advantage that the Victor had been generating wasn't on the rest of the map. He didn't need to be there for that to go well.
Yeah, and I want to give credit again to Shoei Katami. I think he has had a really great performance up against one of the tougher teams in this league. It's hard to decide which teams are the tougher teams in the league, which is so damn close, but there is quality on this Nord roster, and he has been a bit shaky, so it's really great to see him on the rail, getting these fights started and getting the kills, getting the gold into the team members that need it.
I want to go back to something you just said there, saying that there's so much quality in this league. After this game, we are going to have 6 teams in the NLC that are within 1 game of one another. We will have 6 teams total that will have either 4 or 5 wins. At the end of week 4,
That is absolutely nuts.
More than halfway through the regular season. Normally, like, after week 1, week 2, you'd be like, you know what? It makes sense. We've actually not played enough games for that to happen. But when we've played 8 game days, and you have 6 of your 8 teams all within 1 game, we just need to take stock and remember how genuinely crazy it is.
Yeah, and there are only 4 playoff spots.
No.
So 2 of those teams are going to be disappointed. And even if you look a little bit lower down, Ruddy is still on 3 wins.
Ruddy really trying, yeah.
Yeah, they only need a 2-0 week to get themselves right back into that conversation. Roshan dropping the grasping roots in the top lane for the 3rd time. This time it is going to connect on Nulu, but might not be what he wanted as Yaki's able to turn up and burn through the health bar of the Maokai. Merb's actually able to get away from the Vi and do a little bit of damage back, but Nulu is just too strong. Shutdown secured by the Nord AD carriers. We're having a little bit of a tour of the rift as Romeo shows up to prevent Jakey from going any further.
Honestly, that's a positive play for Nord. I really didn't think that was going to work out. I doubted the damage that Merbs and Roshan would have been able to put out as a duo, especially on a Victor who's so over-leveled. But they had the tools, they had the damage to take him down, and that was a big shutdown that went into the back pocket of the Nord AD carry. So Merb's going to be feeling very comfortable having taken that kill and the gold in his back pocket.
Yeah, but if you look up to the top of your screen at the gold in this game, it's already 6,500 in favor of Natives. They've got 2 Drakes, they've got 6 Scrubs as well. Everything is going their way. Romeo looking for a little bit of a Hail Mary play here, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to find it before Yaki turns up. The tower falls down, Merv gets knocked into the sky. And Shawami Katami looks for him once more. Yaki able to get that kill, and Romeo, dead.
Damn, man. Is that Shakespeare or something?
I don't know. It was nearly Shakespeare. I
Nearly.
think there's more words after Romeo that aren't dead. But honestly,
Romeo did end up dead in that.
he
so-
did. No, spoiler alert, by the way. Guys.
So sorry, guys. If you've not watched Romeo and Juliet
if you've
yet,
not watched the excellent Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet,
or the even better DreamWorks Nomeo and Juliet. Any deep cuts? Any fans?
no, brother, no.
Oh, all right.
I
Sorry.
feel like copyright law should have been extended for like 600 years after the author's death, purely to prevent that from being released.
I love Nomeo and Juliet. I went to the cinema to watch it. It was super cool.
Is this like a core childhood memory that?
Yes,
I
yes.
It's not a good
Definitely.
film. When was the last time you watched Romeo and Juliet?
14, 15 years ago.
Brother,
Yeah.
I would not recommend rewatching it.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
Okay.
Fair enough. Well, things that don't age well and having to go back to them.
Do you-
I'm happy
do you know
living with the memory.
Do you know what? This is. I just want to peel back the curtain. This is so on brand.
Uh-huh.
Initialize has just posted into our caster channel Romeo's like last lines before he dies.
Mm.
And Sam, that is the most you thing that I have ever read in my life.
Push his noses up. Oh, ah!
No, come on, it wasn't that. This is he's
No,
just
okay.
helping us out.
This is educational material
Yeah.
from Mr. Initialize.
This is a guy who paid attention in English at school.
Oh, you see, I didn't. Were you a maths kid or an English kid?
I'd prefer to define myself as British, but
Ah! Man! Did you prefer the subject mathematics or English literature?
well, I prefer League of Legends right now, and I'm not
Yeah.
sure what Roshan will if he ends up tussling with Nulu for too long, but is able to just run himself on out of there. I mean, what does the story look like for Nord, where they come back into this game? Can this game have a fairy tale ending for them?
It certainly can. I think that it's going to be a very long road, but they do have wave clear, which is very important. They have Corki. Corki existing is enough for me to draw any game out to beyond 30 minutes and to a point where an Ezreal and a Corki can do good things.
Roshan, just like use it on a different part of the map, man. Like it just doesn't work up here for some reason. Like the air is different.
The air is different. Now, with the terrain changes, there weren't enough trees up there. They chopped back the forest and Maokai's just trying to repopulate. That's all it is.
It's a deforestation diff.
This is Roshan's protest.
Well, if he looks towards the bottom lane,
No!
come on!
Wrong turret, Nulu!
Oh my words!
Your turret's the other way!
That's a major. That is like instantly like.
Oh,
If I did that on my driving test, I'd just get out of the
that's
car
a
and walk
major.
off.
Now, well, all it was a faster rotate for Nulu to get to the dragon. And that is what's important here, because natives have so far taken all 6 neutral objectives that have spawned, those being double grubs, plus Rift Herald, plus the 3 dragons that are now in natives' back pocket. And they did high roll, they rolled an Infernal Soul, so they're feeling good.
Oh dear, Nile caught out. And Nulu gonna be able to knock him down.
Lovely stuff. So the Victor now at this point going to be very close to his fully upgraded Hex Core. Depends how many of those 185 minions were cannons as to whether or not we are there. But obviously with one play on the bot side comes another play on the top side. Unfortunately, Nord's response play was trying to take a tier 1 turret, and that may well end up in them falling as well. Looking at the minimap, Yaki was sniffing about.
Shami
Romeo.
Katami sniffing about as well. Not quite able to interrupt the engage from Romeo. Misses him with the Q, but is still able to land the root. Oh, popped by the Alistair to keep him alive. Rusty Sniper doing so much damage with the execute. Roshan going to be looking for an aggressive maneuver in the top lane here onto Smurf. They should be able to knock... No! What are you doing?
Middlecot's taking a seat. He needs a minute. Now, the beauty of this is that it doesn't matter, because the overwhelming likelihood is that natives will win this game anyway.
Yeah, and if I'm going to be perfectly honest, if Smurfy was rocking the SteelSeries Aerox 5 wireless mouse with Acro Barrier, I don't think he clicks on that blast code.
Really? That's crazy, actually.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Well, there you go. A lesson for you all.
Bro, I will offer my services now. Natives, if you want to rent one of those mouses, I know a guy.
I know a guy.
I know a guy. €30 a game.
30
Seems
euro
reasonable.
a game. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you have to do for posting and packaging.
I mean, well, yeah, like that's obviously
That goes without saying, doesn't it?
Well, it's
and
not
there's
gonna be
VAT as
included
well
in the-
from the guy.
Well, let's not talk about VAT. You know, let's
Okay.
just keep that on the DL.
All right. 30 euros a game plus extras. Plus extras.
All I'm saying is the mouse is not really. It's adding value. Mm-hmm. But like, we just don't need to tell the taxman that.
No, and that's honestly that second play. That's 1-for-1 on solo laners. Nulu and Smurfy have both had moments where we've gone, that wasn't intended. Nulu's Herald, Smurfy blast coning himself back into danger. Again, the overwhelming story from that is that it actually doesn't matter, as now, big TP.
Yeah, and a big flank actually coming from the bot side of this flank. Shoei Katami and Yaki looking for Nord. Flash away over the wall, but the Vi's going to be able to follow through. Only a stun onto one. This isn't as good as Natives would have liked, and actually a fair bit of damage is being traded back onto them. Rusty Sniper 1v1ing Mervs on the other side, and hold your horses. Nord are winning out this fight. 2-for-1 in their favor, but there's still so much damage left. Flash 4 from Nulu, double kill from the Victor. It was just a joke, guys. Natives are still on top.
Yeah, you took down Yaki, yeah, you took down Shoei Katami, but the 3 carries were still stood, standing, ready to deliver. And they've got the range, they've got the damage to be able to take down whoever you send to challenge them. The 3v3 left on the map is heavily Natives favoured, and they finish off a top tier 2. The way this game's going, Middlecott, we take resets, we go back down to the bot side, we secure ourselves our soul, and then the Baron will be on the menu.
And the crazy thing for me with that is that is Nulu with 2.5 items. That is Rusty Sniper without a completed Mirror Mana, and Smurfy still sat on 2.5 items even after that base. This isn't the fully powered up, fully snowballed Natives roster, and they're already just able to wipe Nord even when it looks great for the blue side team.
Yeah, that was like one of the best starts for Nord that they could possibly find. And they still weren't able to come away with that, you know, insanely decent advantage. However, Malignance is finished for Vargi. As best as a power spike that is, that combined with the Mirror Manas that Merbs and he have completed, it's about the best time that they're going to be able to find a fight. The one at this soul, you feel like is really their only way back in, is if they can somehow steal this, maybe glance a fight in there as well. But Nulu is so strong. Rusty Sniper, so strong. He has to auto this Drake 3 times, and he gets himself an upgrade, so he's going to have that for any fight that happens.
And it doesn't look like Nord are really going to be in a position to reset, still to contest. Still 30 seconds to go until the Drake is spawned, but they've got no vision in this river, and I don't want to be face-checking into a Rel, into a Jace, or into a Vi. That just sounds like a bad time.
Yeah, and definitely not into, you know, just piercing arrows that are coming out from every which way but how. Yeah, that looks on brand. That's about what I expect from a Varus. Mirror Mana finished now, just in time for that Drake to spawn. Nord, they have to fight this. They've got the package. It doesn't last as long now, so there's a world where Natives look to stall this out. But either way, I think they're just strong enough to do what they want.
Yeah, and every single arrow shot blast lasting is just brutal onto the health bars of Nord. Natives can afford to play time, but Nord are going for it. Rusty Sniper caught out and shut down, and Natives are split up. Nulu still going to be able to get the kill as Nile slays down Yaki. Merbs forced to retreat on the backside of the fight. Actually ends up being an even situation for Nord in the long run, and somehow, despite a 10,000 gold deficit, they find a 3-for-3. Smurfy hunting for Mervs. The objective bounty actually claimed by Roshan. Jungler still alive, stole denied.
Right. That is a massive win for Nord. They went even in the fight, they claimed 2 massive shutdowns, and they bought themselves 5 more minutes before the soul goes over. All told, that couldn't have gone any better. Yeah, alright, they could have 5-for-0'd, but they were down 10k gold, and they come away with the Drake and an even fight. That's a big win.
Yeah, it was the trigger pull coming out there from Romeo, the guy who impressed us all in week 1 with his the performances on the Nautilus, finding that snap engage, going right onto Rusty Sniper and not allowing the Varus the time to poke, the time to prod, the time to whittle down the defenses of Nord, but they're going to have to do it all over again at the Baron.
4 items for Rusty Sniper. Any poke he lands hurts like a truck.
Romeo engaging this time onto the rail, not necessarily the priority target, but it's enough to force natives away. They are rattled, they are scared, and they don't want to fumble like that again.
And it's really tricky, especially when you've been tanking the Baron. When that poke starts to come through from your Corki, from your Ezreal, definitely going to cost you. Now Smurfette does his best to try and clear out that wave, but with natives looking for the Baron, they sacrifice their mid wave, ends up costing them a mid tier 1 turret. Back to the drawing board for natives because they can't make those mistakes continuously. As I highlighted earlier, any game with Corki in it is a game that I'm willing to give you the buying power to get to 30, 40 minutes and pull yourself back to parity.
Yeah. But as soon as Nord peel away, the Baron is started up once again. Smurfette separated from his team to try and offer a little bit of poke.
TP for Vargi is available, but he's close enough to get there, and you can see they're looking for the turn always.
Shoei Katami getting on top of Mervs. They're able to find the Ezreal. Nilla gonna hop out of there. Actually dealing a little bit of damage down onto the rail. Roshan separated from the rest of the roster, the Aftershock. Buying time for the Maokai. Nilla waiting in the wings. The health bars on Nord still A-okay, but they are down 1 member.
Just need to wait out this Mega Gnar timer, and then they can start doing what they fancy. They've got Smurfette TP if they want to send him back to base so he can have HP, but he was actually fairly healthy relative to the rest of his team anyway. And the reason that last fight went so well was because of the package for Vargi. The fact that they're finding these exchanges even without it, it's actually kind of scary for natives because they had such a massive lead, and try as they might, they've not been able to extend it past getting a soul at this stage. You know, they need to find that, and they weren't able to find the Baron either. Up 8,000 gold? Really scary stuff.
Yeah, and until you break open the base, until you take down an inhibitor, it's not like you're going to have a massive map advantage in this state. You don't have a free lane of pressure that you can always rely on, and natives, they've been in situations like this where they've got a lead, they've even got Dragon Souls in the past, and they've fumbled the execution in the later stages, and it's ticking towards 30 minutes. Dare I say it, Rude, we're starting to enter Nord time.
We are, but we're also long past Varus time, and we just got to see quite what Rusty Sniper can do if he's able to turn and poke. Now, the issue with natives and them trying to take these neutral objectives, specifically the Baron, is that if Rusty's hitting onto the Baron, he's actually not poking. It's pretty tricky because on a Varus, you want to be using your Blight to actually do damage to the Baron. This lethality build doesn't really hurt Baron that much, so you're typically using your spells there. Obviously, if he's able to turn, if he's able to poke, if he's turning to hit, does do a lot of damage.
And with a minute left on the Dragon, it does seem like the play here for natives is to give up on the Baron for the time being, make your way down to the Dragon. You don't need to be perma-hitting onto that if you're a Rusty Sniper. You can stand and poke a little bit more and focus down the health bars of Nord, which are the things preventing you from gaining these objectives.
Because you can use Nulu to do the DPS to the Drake, and honestly, Yaki as well can damage down a Drake fast enough for it to be relevant. Now, as soon as they get back out onto the map, you'd like to see them turn toward that Drake. Turn toward that Soul, gives Rusty Sniper that extra boost for the damage. Infernal Soul on a Varus, absolutely devastating.
And it really does have to be on Rusty Sniper, because if we take a look at the mid lane itemization, Varshi's caught up. He's still 1k down on Nulu, but he's reached that all-important 3-item core on the Corki, the Malignance, the Eclipse, the Mirror Mana. Those rockets, they hurt.
And looking specifically again at Varshi's build path, has a Seeker's Arm Guard, that one-time active. When he gets vi-ulted, he can immune it. If he gets engaged on by Rel or caught in a Chaos Storm, he has an ability to go golden, 2.5 seconds for a reset, and hope that his team can bail him out.
And not actually the team able to get a little bit of the mid priority here. Natives sort of benefiting from the map changes have got a bit of an easier route into the river than they would have done in this situation a few months ago.
Eyes on Rusty, eyes on Smurfette, eyes on Nulu. They've all got poke, they've all got tools for range, but Vargi, with this package, doing a great job at zoning them away.
And Norda just feel free to start this up. One of the benefits of a home composition here for natives is that you can go for these contests, but the Dragon is already down. Roshan is going to throw out the roots. Nille is able to find a pick here on the side onto Yeka, completely separated from team, but not from Shawi. Katami, the Vi surviving for way too long as Rusty Cyber is just about able to flash away from that wall-up. And meanwhile, Romeo dealing with Nulu, dealing with Smurfy, preventing the solo lanes from getting involved. And Nord get into the team fight and start winning once more. Smurfy tries to turn it around as Rusty Cyber charges up the arrow, but doesn't do enough damage to Roshan to prevent the fight going against him. Nord, despite the gold deficit, find a huge fight, wipe out natives, and head to the Baron.
Down 8k gold, they just aced them. The first time round, it was a 3 for 3 and a dragon. This time, it's a 5 for 2. Plus the dragon, plus turrets to boot. Merbs, he walked his way down to the bot side there, so they actually can't head straight toward that Baron. But off the back of what has been a completely natives favoured game, Nord are just finding team fights.
And what a time for a pause.
Yeah.
If you're sat there playing this game as natives, how are you feeling? Such a dominant game, so well snowballed. It was just about crossing the T, just about dotting the I. I'm not an English kid, but I at least know how letters work. But it feels like they haven't been able to find that killer blow, that one fight, that one objective secure that pushes them to a point where Nord just can't contest.
The power of Corki Package really is showing itself, because trying to fight versus it is becoming excruciatingly painful, and I think that's why we're actually seeing natives give so much respect over to Nord, give them so much space in those setups. I think that the way to go about this, if you are natives, is sack the mid-wave. Like, just take set up in the river. If you lose 1 to 2 mid-turrets, but you get a Drake Soul, you're there to defend your inhibitor, and that's like the worst case scenario. You're more than able to concede a couple turrets in the mid lane, secure yourself the soul, and then you should be winning fights from there on in.
2 words, rude dude.
Yeah?
Nord time.
Nord time. 30 minutes on the clock. Nord have turned up. Ding, ding, ding.
And they are delivering one hell of a beating to natives. Vashi, though, needs to be careful. Low on HP. Shawi Katami can chase him down.
Eclipse, it blocks the entirety of the Rel shield, or the entirety of the Rel damage, so he's actually a little bit safer there than potentially had given credit for. But the Drake down again, all eyes back toward the Baron, folks. Let's see if either of these teams are able to set themselves up for it, and more importantly for me, I think more indicative of how this game's going, who feels confident to set up around the Baron? Because whilst Nord have all the momentum, they still don't quite have the gold. Natives are still up in that aspect. You know, Rusty Sniper, a full item up over Merbs. That just doesn't look like it's mattered.
It's not felt like the poker's been significant enough. You need to be getting it onto Vashi. You need to be getting it onto Merbs. And speaking of Vashi, he's now overtaken Nulu after being absolutely put down in the laning phase. He's caught up. And he is back in relevancy.
It has been incredible. And yes, there's a certain amount of, well, Corki lends you that because he's an excellent late-game champion. There's also an element of, well, I've just been playing to catch up very, very well. It can be so easy to get demotivated in these games, especially when you've been in a solo situation. Put the hands on. And right, this game, I think, is a perfect example of why I have Vashi as such a highly touted mid-lane prospect for our region. Now they've started up this Baron, 2-man to begin with. Smurfy, Rusty Sniper trying to run anchor to zone people away. Watch Shawi Katami, his angle is going to be crucial as to whether or not they can find a fight.
Baron going down to 5k, actually going to be dropping very, very quickly. Roshan going to throw out the roots, gets rooted himself, and Yaki takes the Baron. Nord looking for the engage though. Romeo not really gotten the support of a lot of his damage dealers. Yaki is going to get caught out. Ults on Davashi to just try and prevent some damage being dealt back. And that's 2 already for Nord natives. They've not been able to exit the pit. It's another double, make it 3. And natives, they escape with the Baron on 1 member.
That's the game.
Nord have won the game.
33 minutes in, we have 50-second death timers on Nulu. Rusty Sniper is going to have to pull an entire antelope out of his hat to try and claw this game back.
Flash. Not quite available.
Oh, God.
Deal so much damage onto Merbs, but how much can he realistically do up against 5 members of Nord? His support's going to be up in 10. Yaki is going to be up in 10. The Nexus towers are being focused down. Natives fumbled a lead versus Verdant yesterday, and it has happened again. Nord hold on. They focus down the Nexus. They just need a couple more hits, and from absolutely nowhere, Nord take the game.
They're still down gold, Middlecourt. I will fight you on from absolutely nowhere because they did win 3 fights back to back to back, all of which they had no purpose winning. They were down 10k to begin with, then 8k, then 5k. But they should have all been winning fights, and it was Natives fumbling.
That game was so in Natives' favour. I started self-reporting about tax discrepancies.
Yeah.
About my inability to understand the British tax system. HMRC, I hope you're not watching, guys, but Nord, oh my word. What a performance. Just to dig your heels in, refuse to lose, and you don't lose,
You win.
you win.
What a day it's been, honestly. All 4 games, I feel like, have just given us something special.
Absolutely incredible. Nord now tied up at the top of the standings with 3 other teams. Oh, that's just the NLC. We're going to a short break. The analysts will break down that madness in a few minutes.
Break it down, break it down. Step on the gas, let's get out of town. We're gonna break out and have some fun. We're gonna do what you never done. Oh yeah, yeah. Come on, take your body with you. It's a money weekend. Everything we wanna, we go do. We go do. Let's let we go do.
Can he get the resets? 1, 2, coming through. It is DMG winning the fight. They'll claim 3 as well. Rusty Sniper, the last of the targets to be found. No summoner spells. No way out.
Romeo finds the re-engage into the multi-man counter-strike. The shockwave, too little, too late for light side. Flashes away, gets on out of there, will burn down eventually, but Agony Pain goes forward and gets taken down. Ruddy are doing it. They find an ace.
Nord fly high for the last game of the day on the beautiful comeback. It seemed like it was natives, but out of a sudden it's Nord. So let's dive into this one because it looked like the bottom lane was specifically screaming natives won.
Yeah, and so was Nulu for large parts of it. But range is king in the current meta, and they struggle playing into range. And once Corki Ezreal realized, oh yeah, we have about 5 trillion range between us and the enemy team at any one point, they started being able to spread them thin, they started being able to play their comp out, they started being able to win the game, despite the best efforts of the opponents. It was really on Nord to throw consistently, and once they realized what their comp did well, they ceased doing that and pretty much instantly won the game.
Yeah, I checked my watch and it turns out it stopped reading half past, just started reading Nord for some reason, because that was kind of the break point in some ways, was that we saw a couple fights where Corki got packaged, where actually the carries were hitting from the side of natives were hitting, particularly Smurf and Nulu were hitting, like Roshan were hitting an ulting Alistair for middling damage. That wasn't a death cap on the victory. He'd gone a slightly more defensive route. Was, death cap was going to come in 5th, if at all. It was a long ways off that item. And actually, at the same time, Rusty Sniper was then in a 1v3, a 1v4 at the end. And Romeo then turns into body blocking both Jason and Victor. And these team fights get in very awkward positions where, yes, the range advantage is tricky, but then when they try to pull the trigger, actually they're getting their main damage source, they're getting body blocked. The shock blasts aren't hitting the Corki, aren't hitting the Ezreal. The Victor isn't hitting them anymore. He's hitting a Maokai who's got the aftershock running. You're hitting the Alistair who's got the ultimate running. And the damage profile in terms of the valuable damage you're doing is limited in those late game fights, it turned out. And then they got in their own heads and Nord kind of started smelling blood in the water. Turns out there was a whole lot of it, and they just take the whole damn game.
Natives had the opportunity to finish, but they couldn't, so that's why we're going to toss it to the interview with Scotty, who's waiting for us. We need to talk about this one. Scotty, I know this is not what you wanted. It started really good, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just really embarrassing, right? Like, today, yesterday, even our other losses, our games we should have won, like we get ahead and then we just lose ourselves. We don't know how to play cohesively. Like obviously today there was it was really hard to play into the range later on, but I think at some point you just kind of have to force it. Obviously at the 4th dragon, we messed up, so we shouldn't even gone to the 5th dragon where we started struggling. But at some point you just need to play as a cohesive unit and say we just fucking take the space. But we don't, and we lose to ourselves. It's really embarrassing.
So that's something we heard on that interview you brought up, the idea that we're losing games that we shouldn't. We should be isolated on the first place. It seems like it's taking a toll on the team. Do you believe that? And are you feeling that toll as well?
I mean, obviously, it's really frustrating right after a loss, right? But every time we're able to pick up ourselves, like against Domino last week, we showed that we could play really good against Land Street the day after. I think we, obviously, I think we just need to kind of get our stuff together and start not playing solo queue in scrims and being trying to play as a team. Because I think when you go to officials, we become way more disciplined, and it just kind of sinks out. It goes out when we come to late game because we just aren't used to playing together like we should.
So tell me something. When you look to the top of the leaderboard, obviously you could be a little bit ahead right now, but it's so tied up. There's a big shadow on the teams that are ahead, even on the teams that are behind, and only 4 can move on. So do you have any sort of fear of if we keep slipping, like a little slip, a week that we lose 2 games, we might be out of the competition? Are you feeling that pressure right now, or are you comfortable you're going to make it?
I mean, I'm comfortable, and I think everyone in the team is comfortable. It's obviously it's harder to say right after a game where we were 10k up, but I do honestly believe that we are probably together with Lionscreed, the best team in this league. I think on paper we should be able to beat every single team. Again, if we just don't mess up at the 4th dragon, this game would have been a stomp. If there was a game against Domino, there was a game against Verdant, right? I think we are capable of being the best team, but it's really just up to us.
I love it. Thank you so much for the interview. Best of luck for next week, and let's see what happens to natives. Have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was a number I was not expecting. As soon as he said we were 10k up, and you were spectating that, and you're like, this is in the bag. Why is the bag ripped? Why is everything falling from the bag? I need a new bag. It's a tough one.
It is. And the thing is, once again, there is a lot of good things from Natus to take away from this. They played the lanes really well. Nulu played out his in mid lane especially excellently well. He had people forcing him to tier 2 where he didn't have to blow the flash, comes back, they get the kill on the Corki just after. Lots of these moments you go, yes, this is excellent, we're at soul point, this is excellent. And then some of these late game objective setups start happening, and then some of the overextensions start happening, and you can see the nerves start to come into them in terms of the closing out of the game. And for me, that's a little bit more on Shawi Katami and Yaki, actually, a little bit, in terms of those were the ones with the playmaking and the go buttons this game. And whether that is the team comms or their own kind of, yeah, I need to take this moment or not, we don't necessarily know. But either way, in those late game scenarios, those engage moments haven't come through as cleanly as we'd like.
So let's talk with Nord right now, because I believe it's Romeo's waiting for us. MVP on the first game, but now he's the one talking with us. Welcome to the show. I mean, you gotta be stressed right now. Let's be honest. You gotta feel it. You took the W, but it didn't feel like it at the beginning of the game, did it?
Yeah, thanks for having me. No, it didn't. It was probably our worst early game of the splits. It felt really, kind of hard to play because we had 3 losing lanes on paper where we had no prio. And plus, Nulu was playing really well, so we kind of had to cover on mid, which sacrificed pressure on sides. And yeah, they were just naturally getting prio and then forcing plays. So we just had to react, and we were just saying in the comms that we could scale, and we had really good scaling in late game. So that's what we aimed for, and we managed to pull it out.
Let's talk about that team fight on the Dragon. You know which team fight I'm talking about. The one where you isolate the Vi. The Victor is not allowed to step in because he was hitting on a Maokai. That was the turning point of the game. So I don't want to know how you got there. I want to know what happened next. How was the communication? How was the ambient within the call as well? Because let's be honest, you guys must have been screaming a lot as soon as you won that one, because you were like, yeah, we finally hit the point, the jackpot. Was that it?
Actually, no. I feel like the turning point was the fight on top, where we go 2 for 2, but we're so behind, and we get both carries flash. I decide to keep my flash and not burn it to live. And then we say next fight we have Corki package. I have my flash. Both carries have no sums. We can just all in one of them, and then yeah, we find the Vi out of position and managed to turn on the Jace and the Victor, which was isolated from the fight, so they couldn't do damage. And then it was pretty calm. We were not screaming at all. We were just saying, okay, guys, this is not over. They're still ahead. We still got some shit to do. And we tried to play off on the back foot and force them to make a mistake, which they did by forcing the Nash. And then, yeah, we just we saw an opportunity to go for the end, and we were just okay, let's flip this. It was really close, but yeah, we managed to make it work.
Love it. So I'm going to make a difficult question for you right now. Obviously, you're the player from Nord, so you think and you are sure that Nord will go into playoffs. So that means
No.
Nord is in playoffs. Who else is in playoffs? Because only 3 are allowed to join you. So from what I've seen and battled against them, who do you think is going to join you?
Honestly, it's not ego talking, but I feel individually, I didn't find any of the teams that impressive. I feel the losses we had were mostly on our fault. For example, yesterday when we lost to Lions Creed, that game was done and done at 5-10 minutes, and we kind of let them back in the game. But I was kind of impressed with Venom Crest. I have some friends in both the coaching staff and the players. I'm really good friends with Lenny. And I think they're impressive. So keep an eye out for them. And I feel Verdant also has a very good collective. Their players are probably the strongest, I feel, in the league. So yeah, and yeah, I was kind of disappointed with Lions Creed mechanically yesterday. I expected more from their bot lane especially. So yeah, I'm not really scared of anyone, and I think it's pretty open.
Okay, I love it. Thank you so much for the interview, Romeo. Best of luck for the next week. Have a nice one.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Oh boy, those are some heavy sentences from someone that could get the MVP, but he's not the one getting the MVP. The MVP for tonight's match, it's Warzy with the Corky 7-1 and 8. Yet again, he's stepping in. We talked about this gentleman, so obviously he's getting the MVP.
Which is quite
And-
interesting
yes.
because if Natives had won the game, then you have to think Nulu would have for sure been the MVP. So the standard of mid lane in this particular game was really, really high, where both of them seems to be two of the best players on their respective teams. So hats off to that titanic matchup that we ended the day on.
Yeah.
I also just want to give shout outs to Jinjo there because like the way he talked about the game with you in the interview also made me think this is the kind of guy I could expect to be like, no guys, dive bot on repeat and then we do this and then we do this. As an AD carry player that puts the amount of pressure he does. So shout outs to him on that MVP. He's always being one of those guys on every team he's been on.
He's one of the MVPs for the day, which means you're allowed to go onto Twitter and pick
Get
the
voted.
MVP of the day. It's your vote that counts, so step on in. And talking about stepping, let's see the standings at the end of week 4, day 2. Standings for the teams. We yet again have a tie.
No
4
way.
teams.
Have we got a 4-way tie for first?
Yep.
Both of our teams with 5 wins lost today. You're right. Oh my days.
There's only a difference of 2 games between 7th and
Between-
first place right now.
That is insane.
And then there's those
Like a
guys where we don't
0-2
talk
week
about.
I'm so
could send you from
scared.
1st to 7th. You lose twice as Venom Crest or Verdant, and suddenly you are potentially in 7th if Roddy goes like 2-0 or something. you
Yep.
know? That's
Yep.
mental.
It
Yep.
is. It is mental. So these are the standings. But talking about mental, let's talk about predictions because we had
Yep.
some really cool ones for today.
Oh, baby.
I
Wow,
see some
no one.
lights shut off.
That's
No
a -2 from me.
But the
Oh,
big
boy.
thing to do there, though, is who put like singular points on Venom Crest because then they got out of the loss
Yeah.
less worse than
Foxtrot
everyone else
doing
because
very
we
well.
minus
was
it,
a
right? We
genius
minus it.
today. Show me the leaderboard. Fox
I wanna
Trot
think
is in
about it.
first by far. 28
Yeah,
points.
28.
My goodness, veteran, what is happening to you? 2 points. Initialize climbing the ladder. Duckling.
I'm with you. Let's go.
Duckling is no longer.
Middle court's lower. How has middle court ended up below Duckling? What's
Because the
happened
way,
there?
because you have to remember, if you get a wrong one, the points get subtracted as well. So
No,
you can
no, I
legit
don't- yeah.
swing relative to someone else. You could legit swing like to
Being
20
-24,
to 40.
yeah.
Technically, like it's insane the swings that can happen. So one day you're chilling, the next day you're 8 points below Duckling. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like these are. This is like the NLC.
This is
You know,
chaos.
one day you're 7th, and then the
got a
next week
doctor on it.
you can be first, right? So there's hope for everyone, except Middlecott. Just wrong,
He's-
doesn't even own his mouse, has a fucking 10 kilo
His
thing
friend.
waiting for him when it's gone, alright? I'm not even sure if we had
Yeah.
copyright on the music track we
Like-
used. Like,
Probably.
it's just L's all the way down.
Like all I'm saying is, I feel that Middlecott clearly should rename his old mouse to a rat because that thing is like it's filthy. Like I don't understand how he touched that and didn't come away with a number of virulent illnesses.
How do we
can't
know he
flame
didn't?
the mouse. He can't do it
I mean,
because
look at me. I mean,
It would explain
You
everything
really-
else, you know?
the Steel City's mouse is rented. Keep that in mind. He has to keep track of the other one. But you can
It's a
win
beautiful mouse.
one.
Look at it.
A weekly community prediction contest. Head on to Twitter and you'll be able to win this Steel City ZX5 wireless mouse if you're the best prediction on that week. Every single week on NLC, you'll be able to get one of these. Come on. Can you believe what you can get just by being good at predicting League of Legends? Which is really complicated because you're standing at NLC and this is one of the hardest leagues to predict.
Yeah, I feel like Steel is probably giving away less mice than they might otherwise because the predictions are so.
Hey, it's
This
silky
is
smooth,
chaotic.
it's aerodynamic, it's a piece
Yeah.
of the future today, so predict the future and then have it delivered to your front door the next week after, courtesy
And that way-
of Steel Series.
You can leave your mice past behind you and move on to beautiful electronic peripherals.
I'm gonna take this opportunity to sign off and to wish you the best for the next week. We'll be back on Wednesday for week 5, day 1. It's getting close to the end, but nobody knows what's gonna happen anyway because all the teams are looking for the first place. I mean, someone has to win,
except DMG.
I think. And until then, keep climbing. Never stop. I'll see you soon.
At SteelSeries, we make the headsets, mice and keyboards that the world's best gamers win the most with. And we've been doing it since way back. It's up to you how far you go, but whatever you do, go for glory.
You gotta understand, the middle court is currently 0 for 8 this week.
Yeah.
He has not got a single protection right.
Hey. Yeah, let's see how you do under pressure. Oh. Yeah, I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay. Hey. Yeah. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra, extra. Fuck with me, you know that I got it. Come with me, let's take a trip to the islands. We up on the jet, we'll do more than just fly on it. Stand on that hill, you gon' die on it. Boom, boom. Baby, I'm not one of them, you should try on it. Miss me with all that, I'm on to the next. Fuck this up, I send you back to your ex. But good luck with that, this is big as it gets. Hey, let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure.
But Shift, being one of the members here, you can't kite the mark quite yet because Shift is still alive. The shockwave finds them all, but can they kill Shift? No! They can! He's still alive and he's taking down them all! Alongside Liam Cole and Persson, they will not give up! And DMG! Ornhold coming through, Eyes and Smurf, and he's the big